the 1729, it's like it was a group formed around Balaji's like lectures in VR when he was writing the book, the network state, and me and you, we were there, part of it. We met in VR on his lectures. It was pretty cool. But a part of these, like there were some crypto tasks as well, and there was also some like other challenges like proof of workout, which was funny. But normally how it works, like you take a screenshot of your, like, I don't know, app where which is connected to your fitness tracker, and then you post it somewhere. But this could be like much integrated. You can like just select people you want to compete with, and this is something like a communal fitness tracker, not just personal, which I think we will get there.
Hello, welcome back to Mtambo's Desk podcast. My name is Duke Mtambo, and the following is a conversation with Jakub Szymek, a co-founder of Wezesha DAO and an author of Wisdom Enterprising. In today's episode, I will be talking with Jakub Szymek about his article, User-Aligned Content and a Daily Balajisms series. And now, dear friends, here is Jakub Szymek. Jakub, thank you once again for joining me on Mtambo's Desk podcast.
Hi, Jug. I'm happy to see you again after some time.
Yeah, it's been long since we talked.
Yeah, it's yeah, it used to be like almost every other day. Now it's been a couple of days, so I'm happy to be back.
Nice to see
on
you.
Your podcast.
Yeah, thank you for always joining me. Well, Jakub, I recently came across your article discussing Balaji Srinivasan's concept of the news you can use and how it's different from the infotainment and clickbait of today's media. Can you tell us a bit about this concept?
Yeah, so it's like the news you can use. It's a nice catchy phrase, and it kind of means that you should spend your time, and especially the most precious time, in the morning, or when you are like on your when you have your full energy still, and like when you want to set your priorities during the day or something. You should focus on just learning, learning something fresh, something for you, something that can advance your goals, and that can help you to level up, to improve your skills. And you shouldn't just like spend this like very precious time on basically like empty calories on infotainment. So Balaji has this kind of concept of user aligned content. It's also, he calls it like the news you can use. And it's basically, he uses the metaphor of information diet, So if you have like a healthy information diet, you can you can see the changes in your like in some kind of metrics, like let's say your skills, your health, your wealth, and if you have like if you're consuming like junk food or empty calories, or like fast food kind of infotainment, you can also like observe it, like, but in a negative way. So and what is maybe novel here is from like Balaji is that he bundles, or he puts together the like both spectrum of what we would consider like infotainment versus like serious news. He puts them together under one umbrella, and he opposes them into against this concept of the news you can use, or the user aligned content. So if you imagine on one spectrum, let's say news about some pop stars like Kim, or some celebrities like Kim Kardashian, normally you would put like this on one spectrum, and then let's say like some war reporting on the opposite spectrum of like some, these are the serious news. But like Balaji looks at them through their commonalities, and it's basically both are just like various versions of infotainment. Okay, like you can have like some, let's say, low class and a high class version. or like low status, high status version, but it's still just an infotainment, because it doesn't affect your daily life, or even more importantly, you can't affect that situation, like often, of course, if it's like, let's say, some emergency or some situation that affects your city or your town, your family, then you should pay a close attention to it. But if it's some kind of news that it's from like the other side of the world, okay, I mean, it's good to know what's happening there, but it shouldn't be like the first thing you do in the morning, and you shouldn't overconsume it. It's like a bit of salt or a bit of sugar, it's good, but it shouldn't be the majority of your information diet. And maybe it's just like a good example. There was like so I think it was in Myanmar. There was like this coup d'etat, and there was this like it was like, it became a meme. I think it was from the last year, actually.
Really?
Or a year before, I don't know, 2020. I don't know. I just like, but it was like this lady was like exercising in the morning, like doing some kind of dance. I don't know. It was maybe before TikTok or something. It was either exercises or dance, and then there were these military tanks in the background, crossing the bridge or something. And it's maybe it's a good like metaphor of this concept that okay, I mean, it's very serious, but it's also like it's still infotainment, because you can't like really like do much about that. It's like on the other side of the world, and it's it shouldn't take like the majority of your mind share, or your thinking. You should like focus on things that you can improve around you and in your neighborhood, around your
Absolutely.
family.
Absolutely. I think Balaji's concept of the user-aligned content is also very intriguing. It's great to imagine a future where media consumers and creators can track their progress based on the information, diet, and stimuli they get and create. And what do you think about Balaji's argument that the monopoly of truth is upstream of the monopoly of violence?
Yeah, so maybe just to get to the first part of your question about the stimuli, so it's like Balaji uses these examples from two recent books. So like one is Atomic Habits, and the other one is in Undistractable or something like that. It's like hard to distract. So I guess that's the word. And basically, it's kind of like the ideal case is like you should kind of become a kind of a robot, like, so in a way that's for example, if you want to run or start running, like on a daily basis or like a weekly basis, I don't know, you should like have like some kind of stimuli. So for example, you put your sneakers, your running shoes somewhere visible. So the first thing in the morning, you see the running shoes, so you get like the stimuli, okay, like I should go running. And then you just like go, you just kind of like become a robot, if you feel bad or like tired or grumpy or something, you just go, you run, and then at the end you should like get yourself some kind of reward. It's like, so you have like the stimuli, and then there is some kind of reward, like, I don't know, let's say or like you go running and you listen to some podcast with Balaji, okay, maybe that's the reward. I don't know.
Or Mtambo's this podcast. Daily Balajism.
Daily Balajism. That's actually that's very appropriate. Yeah. So Mtambo's desk podcast and running, like or after the run, I don't know, you eat some nice healthy food, or like have some smoothie or something like that you're looking forward to. That's like this kind of cycle, and so that's about the stimuli, and you can like go get far with it, like with like modern kind of like fitness trackers, like this quantified self kind of devices, like even like something like cheap, like this some kind of Samsung fitness thing that I have. And what is kind of missing currently, and what Balaji adds here, is some kind of like, okay, it could be reported on blockchain. This kind of, it could be kind of anonymized. So it's like, it doesn't, it's like, okay, the privacy of your health information or something, but it still can be like, let's say, also reported on chain. But also what is kind of missing, the second thing, okay, there are many things missing. Like, for example, you don't have a thermometer. We were discussing it before. It's just because of regulation. It was like, there is no other reason why you can't have other sensors there. But what is also missing is like, you could something, like when we were at the 1729, we were posting like daily the proof of the proof of workout. That was like the funny phrase, like not proof of work, but the proof of workout. So, and imagine you have like a group of friends, or let's say your startup society or something like that, where you can kind of like have like a team dashboard, so you can see like how your team is improving in your, let's say, fitness, on a day by day basis or on a weekly basis. This is also kind of missing, because with these fitness trackers you have something like some global kind of like you can compete with other people, but it's not like your friends or something. With Apple Watch you can have this, but there are much like this is just in its infancy, this kind of fitness trackers, but you could have really like much smoother integration, like at the 1729, it's like it was a group formed around Balaji's like lectures in VR when he was writing the book, the network state. And me and you, we were there, a part of it. We met in VR on his lectures. It was pretty cool. But a part of this, like, there were some crypto tasks as well, and there was also some like other challenges, like proof of workout, which was funny. But normally how it works, like you take a screenshot of your, like, I don't know, app which is connected to your fitness tracker, and then you post it somewhere. But this could be like much integrated, you can like just select people you want to compete with, and this is something like a communal fitness tracker, not just personal, which I think we will get there. And so this is like just reflecting on your question about the stimuli. And the second part, like, okay, the
monopoly.
The monopoly of truth is upstream of the monopoly on violence. So the monopoly on truth is upstream on
the monopoly
on violence. Yeah. And so it's, like, if you we discussed before that legacy media, they're like upstream of the legacy establishment. So let's say, but their power is soft power. So it's the power to persuade. It's not like hard power, like deterministic, but it's like soft power and stochastic power, meaning like one article may just move or shift the probabilities a little bit, that, let's say, some official will get fired, or there will be a new war launched, but it's just like a maybe tiny shift in probabilities. But if you have like dozen articles, or if you have like hundreds articles, or let's say 10 articles about some official, that a person might get into a serious problem, especially over time, if this kind of pressure is persistent. Like we were discussing the spectrum of allies during our podcast episode, like your podcast episode, where I was discussing this topic of social war. And so the spectrum of allies is like the concept where you don't want to shift someone from like the active supporter to the active opponent, but you can like shift people, like let's say from active supporter to just passive supporter, or from passive supporter to neutral, or from neutral to passive opponent, or from passive opponent to active opponent. So the idea is not to shift someone like from just like one spectrum to the other. Like it's very difficult, or it might not be possible, but you can like just shift the perceptions bit by bit, and you can and people might not be as supportive, and then even they might turn neutral or even negative time after time, like over time. So and this is so the legacy media are like stochastic, meaning like if you have many articles, the probabilities will shift. And in this case, like Balaji uses like examples, like let's say WMDs, so the weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, for example. So there were many articles about it. Like, okay, it's kind of complicated story, but there was some like false intelligence kind of reports picked up by, I think, Germans, then like fed to Americans, and then the Americans amplified it, like I think over the like too much, because it was useful, it was like useful for them, like to topple Saddam. But this kind of like reporting about the weapons of mass destruction in Iraq were upstream of the actual war in Iraq, like you have to first like persuade the public, let's say, then to accept the war. So that's like one example, but you can have like many of these. So like basically the idea is like you should have your own distribution, so like product is merit, but the distribution is connections. So like it's something like we are doing our own podcast, but if we were just like and we need to try to reach as many people as possible, or at least to reach the right people, like the people who are already interested about like
user-aligned
ideas,
user-aligned consumers.
User-aligned,
Now user-aligned consumers instead of user-aligned content.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, or the Balaji aligned listeners or something like that.
Yeah. That's really interesting perspective. I think also it's important to remember that information is power, and that we need to be careful about who we are giving that power to. With the centralized media and social media, we are at the mercy of those companies, and they have the ability to deplatform us and cancel us from their platform. But also, I think it's cool that Balaji sees journalists becoming founders, and the rise of influencer and venture capitalists.
Yeah, so it's like he calls it like angel influencer versus venture journalist. But yeah, I mean, it's because it's like kind of like a effective left-right fusion or synthesis, where you basically you want to have both, like let's say skillful investor or skillful engineer, but you also want to have a skillful influencer. For example, someone like Elon Musk is both, says Balaji, so you have like he's really like funny, he's into like the current thing, but he's also like very focused on like technology and technical like progress of his companies, like Tesla, SpaceX, the Boring Company, etc. It's like it's funny name, the Boring Company. It's like creating tunnels,
Yeah.
So here's the example of like the founder who is also like the most popular on Twitter, So and he bought the Twitter. I guess he bought it just to reveal the Twitter files. It's like 44 billion for his I mean his kind of contribution with Twitter files. Yeah, it's very funny. I mean, it's in itself, it's just like kind of like a meme, him buying Twitter. So, but that's like the illustration of very important point that you need to have a great product, but also a great distribution, and you need to have like the zeal and the passion of, let's say, the activist or the journalist, but also like to have the skills of a founder, of an investor, and skills of an engineer. So it's like very difficult, you know. But like some people can combine these, like Elon Musk can combine it, you know,
Yeah.
these two skills.
Yeah, I think that's a really exciting prospect. It's great to see people taking a long-term, I mean, orientation, and not just chasing clicks, dollars from ads, or respect from others. They are writing the reader for the best and not for the most. Well, Jakub, as we wrap up this conversation, what is your take on Balaji's comments on the most successful media company of the last decade being A16Z?
Yeah, it's kind of a joke, but it kind of explains the concept of the user aligned content, but as well as like writing for, let's say, just a few, not the median like reader or listener, but just like writing for a few founders, you know, like, let's say, like with this kind of business model or this kind of media company like A16Z, it's a venture capital firm. They are like very heavy on crypto, also thanks to Balaji and another guy there who is like strong on crypto. Dixon, I think, is the guy. So, and they write, like, they have this like future.a16z.com or something, you know, like so it's like they have like their future kind of like magazine or something. It's called Future. And basically the idea is like, okay, maybe they've read articles, but let's say, I don't know, maybe 1,000 people read them or 100 people, but it's not about like, let's say that each article needs to be read like 10,000 times, because you're not writing like a clickbait for the masses, but you're writing for the founders. But if they write like for the long term, you know, so let's say they have like 10-year horizon like of investments, and if they attract, let's say, the right person, let's say someone like Palmer Luckey, who is like 19 years old, and he founded Oculus Quest, you know.
Yeah.
And let's say if they find people like this, like Palmer Luckey, and now he founded another company called Unreal. And the company is like actually it's a defense company, like a defense startup. It's very rare, and they are doing some autonomous systems for the US military. Unreal, yeah, it's the name. And before he sold the Oculus Quest to Facebook, you know, I think for 2 billion,
2
or
billion.
something. And and when he started the company, he was living in a trailer, and he was like 19 years old. And if you get like more of these people, you know, so like what is important, that actually people like him, some new kind of founders like him, start new companies thanks to your content. And that's very different from like the clickbait media. So maybe just to wrap up, but like Balaji talks gives another example. Like imagine The Social Network, the movie. If the movie was like produced, showed for free, so you could like let's say it was like you didn't need to buy tickets to go to cinema, but it would be like for free, like, you know, but at the end of the movie there would be like a link, you know, like if you have like similar idea or something, like visit our page, and like you can like get some like venture capital like investment from us or something like that. So that's just like an example or a metaphor. But the idea is like the movie like made, I don't know, a couple of tens of millions, I guess, selling tickets like to cinema. But in this way, you know, if you attracted like more founders, like through this kind of content, like something like a social network movie, like you could actually, the business model, it's a bit different business model, but you kind of like provide the content for free, but it's like, but you're trying to attract like new founders, and they would, let's say, like one out of, I don't know, how many you would get, like these applications, but one could be the next, Mark Zuckerberg or the next Palmer Luckey, and and your investment would pay for this kind of like your profit on the investment, or I mean the return on that investment would pay for such a content many times over. So that's like another idea.
I think that's a great idea and point. It's not just about the number. You say it's not just the number of subscribers or views. It's about creating content that is investable. And I think that's a lesson that all media companies can learn from.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Imagine like you are writing an article or creating some movie or some video, and with the objective to find like some new skilled founders. That so you are writing a content, but you can also like invest in that content if that content like to become a reality. For that content to become a reality. So it's just like a that's a new business model.
Definitely. And I also think, I mean, it's interesting that Balaji sees the possibility for new niches in the media industry. Just because most centralized media has become occupied, doesn't mean that there isn't still a market for more niche specific brands. Well, Jakub, thank you for joining me on Tambo's Desk podcast. It's been great having discussion about Balaji Silverson's concept of the news you can use versus the infotainment and clickbait of today's downstream media.
Thank you, Duke. It was great.
Well, that brings us to the end of this episode. If you enjoyed listening to Tambo's Desk podcast, don't forget to subscribe, give this episode a thumbs up, and be sure to come back next week for another episode. Until then, this is Duke Mtambo, and don't forget to do good always.